Which game is easier, Elden Ring or Dark Souls 1? Firstly, let's just look at some raw numbers. In terms of hit points, an endgame Dark Souls 1 build usually has around 1300 HP, whereas an endgame Elden Ring build has between 1400 and 1900 HP. In terms of damage, your base weapon attack in Dark Souls 1 at endgame is usually going to be between 4 to 700, and your base weapon damage in Elden Ring will be between 500 to 1000. So the Elden Ring player character is stronger, but not by that much. In terms of bosses, however, the endgame bosses in Dark Souls 1 have between 4 to 6,000 hit points, but the endgame bosses in Elden Ring have between 20 to 40,000 hit points. So in terms of just raw damage numbers, Dark Souls is the easier one. However, raw numbers are not everything. Elden Ring is an open world game. As such, right from the beginning, you can fast travel to any site of grace from anywhere on the map. Meanwhile, in Dark Souls, you don't unlock fast travel until about halfway into the game. You can only fast travel to a bonfire from a bonfire, and there are only a handful of bonfires that you can fast travel to. And in Elden Ring, most bosses that don't have a site of grace right outside their boss arena have a stake of Marika right outside, so you can revive outside the boss arena and try again. Every single boss attempt in Dark Souls has you running past a horde of zombies that are trying to bite you in the butt. In terms of quality of life, Elden Ring is the much easier game. Now, I already know what comments are being typed. Elden Ring is way easier because it has Rivers of Blood and Comet Azure and Spirit Ashes. And yeah, between spells and summoning and Ashes of War, Elden Ring does give you a lot of very powerful abilities at your disposal. But let's not pretend that Dark Souls 1 doesn't have the spell Dark Bead, the dark magic shotgun that can 4-shot most bosses. And Dark Souls 1 has something that Elden Ring doesn't, actual tank builds. Dark Souls 1 has a lot of weapons with very high base damage but no scaling, meaning you invest all of your stats into health and equipment load. There's a reason that the Giant Dad build became such a meme, because it's really strong and makes the game kinda easy. And the poise stat in Dark Souls is way more powerful. If you're wearing very heavy armor, you can ignore the boss's attacks and keep fighting. Whereas in Elden Ring, no matter what armor you're wearing, most bosses are still going to stagger you. So in terms of options available, I do think Elden Ring is easier, but not by that much. Which overall would have me say that Elden Ring is the slightly easier game. While the bosses in Elden Ring may be a lot bigger and scarier, you always have more strategies you can try, and Elden Ring has a lot less frustrating bullshit.